just in from Adrian Wojnarowski. James Harden will miss 1 month with a strained tendon in his foot. Man. We just keep taking blows over here, man. I don't know when this happened last night, if it was in the first quarter when he kind of banged knees with somebody and was laying on the ground kind of holding his knee. I remember that. And then in the third quarter, he fell on a cameraman. And then he went to the locker room. Doc Rivers doesn't know when it happened because Doc Rivers said he doesn't know why James was in the locker room, and he didn't check to see why James was in the locker room. So that's interesting. So what does this mean for us, man? A couple things that this means. This means that the Philadelphia 76ers are going to have to play the game a different way. There's a problem here. We got used to playing with James Harden. We picked up the pace, and our pace and our points per 100 possessions were up once we started playing the game from the perimeter through James Harden and letting Joel Embiid just roam and get his shots when he gets them and not having a pecking order. So right when we kind of get that down pat and start mastering that offense, James Harden's out for a month. So this means that Doc Rivers, if I had to guess, is going to go back to forcing the ball to Joel Embiid on the block about 40% of the game. And we had a great record last year doing that before James Harden got here. But there's a problem. We don't have Andre Drummond backing him up. And, which, by the way, we were one of the best rebounding teams in the league when Andre Drummond was on this team. We don't have Andre Drummond backing him up. And now we're one of the worst. And we don't have Seth Curry at the three-point line stretching the floor. So, yeah, that doesn't sound good to me. Tyrese Maxey, man, look, he's a bucket, he's a scorer, but he's not a facilitator. He's not a point guard to me. He's not a guy that's gonna run an offense and really run pick and rolls and really read the floor and facilitate at a high NBA level. To get the most out of an offense. I love Tyrese Maxey. I think he could score. I think he's a 25-point-per-game scorer. But yeah, that's how I see it going moving forward. I see bad things for the Philadelphia 76ers in the near future. With an issue like this, James being out for a month, Doc Rivers can't even figure out how to get wins with Joel Embiid sitting out against the Washington Wizards on a Wednesday in November. He can't even figure out the backup center rotations and to play the best player at that position at the right time. Do you think Doc Rivers is going to figure out how to get the most out of this team for a month without James Harden? If I was a betting man, I would bet on no. I don't mean to be ultra negative here, but I think we're going to see a lot of scoring from Tyrese Maxey. But I don't think we have the personnel on this team to run the ball primarily through Joel Embiid on the block. And I think you're going to see a lot of teams double and triple him in the paint. And we're going to be right back to where we were last season for a whole month. The only thing we can kind of hope is that this is a blessing in disguise, because Doc Rivers, in a situation like this, has to get creative. When coaches lose a player on the caliber of a James Harden who's doing as much for your team as James Harden does for your team, the coach then has to get creative. Doc Rivers is probably the least creative coach I've ever seen in the NBA. So the blessing in disguise here is that the Sixers are going to lose a lot of games in a month. And then maybe, just maybe, we can fire Glenn. That's where I'm at with it. There's the bad news. James is out for a month. The Sixers do it to me again, man. Y'all tap in. Have a good day.